been studying the quantum effect for a year and have been studying quantum physics since 2007. I've worked in news media, followed political debates, and was raised in the Catholic Church, converting later to Buddhism. I followed religion, politics, science, and spirituality. I really do hate talking about my own theories. I very much try to make my channel all about showcasing your voices and experiences. I don't want anyone who shares to feel the channel leans in any one direction. If it was my channel, it would, but it's your channel. I'm the face in the editing software, but it's your voice. Still, I've been asked by so many subscribers what my own theory is that some of them have even condemned me for not sharing. I've been unable until now to formulate my thoughts in a way I could explain to someone else. Vibration and frequency, movement and sound are the same thing. We are information being played. We are the numbers we so often see synchronistically, resonating where we are at. We are particle code moving. In physics, string theory is a theoretical framework in which the point-like particles of particle physics are replaced by one-dimensional objects called strings. It describes how these strings propagate through space and interact with each other in the same way that vibrations and frequencies do. Infinite number of strings make up the multiverse, an infinite parallel world, sometimes only the slightest bit different from ours. All these strings or frequencies or vibrations of information run like plant roots, leading everything back to an infinite source. I believe that this is what God is, a mind connecting all of us at a deeper quantum level. Good or bad, dark or light, all power of existence eventually leads back to this one original source. This connection is and can never be lost, like a plant's root systems, but it can be severed like a leaf. If you take a photo of a leaf cut in half, you can still see the faint original leaf shape in the areas of light recorded on the film. Film captures light, and the leaf still exists there. Quantum particles are the building blocks that give our existence mass, and they exist in an almost supernatural state at the same time. The matrix or simulation that we refer to is a pixelation of us into tiny particles, with the source and control of how those particles are arranged. I believe that some of the more advanced interdimensional beings have knowledge to do this in minute forms using technological advances to manipulate particles. Using this, they are able to travel and access different coordinates in space-time. So who made us? Well, I believe in general we came directly from the source, and I cannot go deeper than that at my current level of understanding. But in reference to human beings on Earth, I believe we were planted here by ancient and advanced interdimensional beings. I believe negative ancient interdimensional beings, what we would refer to as bad aliens or demons, have lived with us on this planet since the beginning, leading to our USO and UFO sightings. I believe that the higher frequency interdimensional beings, or angels as we often refer to them, have access to the source's light, which can be used to manipulate and rearrange the particles of the matrix. At the rise of mankind, they foretold of events that would happen in our future, and already had happened, as time is merely a coordinate and has always been there. Some human beings can move along higher frequencies too, although limited by our physical mass. The source manifests teachers everywhere to show that light is the natural way of existence. I believe these are all part of the same being, appearing in ways that each culture can best understand. Human beings, being manipulated by negative interdimensional beings, formed an elite structure on Earth. These became the shadow government, Illuminati, that we speak about in the Truther community. They have been working on agendas since the start of mankind. I believe the CERN tunnel ceremony was part of the rituals that these entities led, as it shows the energy focused on them and their manipulation of space-time, and not the source. The things happening around the world fitting with biblical and religious prophecies, like the threat of nuclear fire, mass animal deaths and extinctions, waters turning red, sky trumpets, 2 suns in the sky, no moon, repeated nights, the onslaught of natural disasters, floods, financial crisis, food shortages, the strangeness of our current government makeup, the removal of the feminine and masculine, and human and machine combining to create a singularity. Human beings are a whole lot easier to control when we're all the same religion, race, and gender. We are in the middle of the 6th mass extinction level event, and science backs that up, all caused by human interaction with the earth. Dye turning waters red, pollution killing sea life, animal habitats being destroyed, causing earthquakes, covering the sky with crystallized chemtrails, GMOing all food supplies.
Do you foresee that GMOs will be the sole food source at the grocery stores anytime soon? Meaning, will food be so difficult to come by as the population grows exponentially that all food will have to be modified in some way so that it can be grown and harvested in widespread locations? Well, in other words, are we headed towards Soylent Green, but it's not people?
The answer is we're already there.
Scientific and physical means of making these events happen as stated in Scripture. Since time does not truly exist as anything more than a coordinate in space, every timeline, every frequency is accessible at the same time. I believe the quantum effect is the great deception. That being said, I guess I believe it's a very specific time we're living in. Parallel worlds exist in an infinite amount of directions for each particle of the source. I believe each possibility exists as do the pages of a book. Each parallel world lay atop the next, pages thinner than a book. If you hold a couple of pages to the light, you can see info clearly 2 pages over. It's all about arranging the light properly to access information. Now imagine each page is gently vibrating at different speeds. The pages vibrating very slowly towards the bottom work like the tide in a sea, slowly pushing the water's movement until it reaches the top layers or waves moving at a faster pace. The lower levels have a hard time moving quickly with the weight of the upper water on top. It would never be able to look at the wave it created, even though both are made up of that same sea, and it would be possible for it to drop down bits of information to settle on its floor. Now imagine you could change the vibration or placement of the pages of the book, as in moving particles at a faster rate of movement, like CERN's LHC and the numerous other particle accelerators on Earth. The D-Wave quantum computer can answer an infinite number of probabilities using 4 codes at once: 1, 0, no 1. Suddenly, you've created a technical way of looking through more pages around you. Those who die quickly or suddenly may shift to a directly related frequency without an experience in between. But in general, I believe once that version of you has passed, we have the option to return to being part of the source. Part of us is always alive somewhere. Part of us is always at home with the source of all. I believe a hive mind does exist that can be tapped into. When you tap into the information of the source directly, I believe human beings are able to do this, but like all skills, not everybody practices or even has any interest in it, as some are born with natural talents. Well, now imagine human beings come in all different frequencies. They move at all different paces. They vibrate at different speeds. Here and there, our frequencies shift a bit depending on our mood and place we are in our lives. Each multiverse has its own frequency, just as Earth does with the Schumann resonance. In the past, we shift slightly up and down. We naturally move back and forth between frequencies, almost identical to ours, pages right next to ours, as we experience reality. Usually so vague, it's almost unnoticeable. At times the jump is too extreme, and we see it as a glitch in the matrix or a thinning of veils, such as we see with supernatural experiences. Technology is being used to turn the radio dial, which I believe is what CERN's work really is utilized for, back and forth between frequencies, shifting us from one frequency to one much farther away than we would usually be able to experience. When we see changes, it's not that these changes are around us, they are us. Being on a different frequency, we do not all shift at the same time with every turn of the dial. For some people, the version of them you were with are still existing on the frequency you left. For them, and for those who belong on the new frequency you entered, nothing has ever changed. Flip-flops occur when a frequency is dialed back and forth, causing multiple jumps. Residual is caused because particles create mass, but all particles are the same. And stationary items can hold more energy depending on the amount of interactions someone has had with them before. Think of haunted objects. I believe some of these bits of residue have traveled with us as well due to their own particle vibrations. One of the most thought-provoking explanations I have ever come across was from the YouTuber Montre Bible. He explained the situation as thus: we are all in a moving van, but we do not know it's moving. We listen to a radio station and we don't pay attention. Slowly the music starts to change from classical to hip-hop. People don't notice. When we stop again, not knowing where we ever are moving to, new people come in and insist that it's always been hip-hop. Original bus riders know better, but they do not know who was driving the bus or where the bus originally moved from, so they cannot prove it or ever go back. I believe the odd actions of the non-affected are one of two things: a lower level interdimensional being, or people who have always been here, mostly confused by whatever it is that we observers are talking about with them. CERN is part of the upper elite, as most of the power sources in our physical world today are. It is the means towards creating the Great Deception. This deception is being created as a psyop to cause those vibrating at a slightly higher frequency, which is shifted more often, to give up or lose their minds in order to create a more conducive low energy frequency on Earth. And I believe this is all part of a clear plan. And so here we have it, my theory of everything. I feel people try to simplify what's going on, but the truth is we're talking about things that we barely have the mental capacity to put together a crude outline of. What is happening is scientific, political, religious, and spiritual. And I believe once people start seeing the connection and start asking the questions, answers are available. They're in existence to find. So don't get stuck on small changes. This isn't about Fruit Loops or Chick-fil-A. Some out there are false memories, some are misquotes, and some have downright physically changed right directly in front of my eyes while I observe them, with other people by my side, and I can't imagine any better proof of that, at least not for myself. I hope this video does resonate with you. If not, then realize that we may not agree on what is causing or is the purpose of this effect, but there's one thing we all have in common, and none of us are alone.